assistance. System malfunctioning. System reactivated. Agent down. Boost. About to come online. Immediate medical assistance needed.
One behind. Watch out. One is in the middle.
The enemy is halfway to victory. Point Bravo has been captured by the enemy.
What's up, agents? Patrick Wolf here. Welcome to another Division 2 build video. Today's build video is going to be a very special one that I've been working hard on for the last week. This is going to be my anti-meta build for this patch TU 10.1. Are you guys having trouble with Lady Death players in the DZ, with Intimidate and Adrenaline Rush combinations with Riot Foam? Are you having problems with people using Vanguard, the Eagle Bearer? This is going to be the counter to those builds. I have face traded in the last 2 or 3 days. I have face traded at least 50 players with Lady Death, and I have won every single engagement. This is going to be the anti-meta build. This is the perfect way to counter all of those builds, all of those combinations. We know how strong they can be. So let's get into this build and how are we going to do this. The specialization is going to be first. Now, it's quite important to note that we're going to be utilizing a pulse mechanic. So we need to make sure that this linked laser pointer is active. This can be used on assault rifles that have long rails. So make sure you guys have this activated, and then go over here, activate everything else. Quite important. One of the most important things, to be honest, is the linked laser pointer and amped, which gives us a skill tier which increases if you want to use the booster hive, which I do recommend. It gives us more hazard protection, more weapon handling, all that good stuff, and it gives us a skill tier for our shield, which is nice because it also stacks on blues. So make sure everything here that you see here is active, and let's get into the build and how it works. Okay, so this is actually one of the strongest builds I've used in TU10 in PvP. This is going to be a PvP build, obviously. Now, it's important to note that this build does unbelievable damage. It's quite funny. A lot of times when I face trade against a Lady Death player, they end up running away because the first 5 or 6 bullets already take off their armor. It's quite scary, and I'm going to tell you why, because there are some hidden multiplications in the damage numbers of this build. So let's go over it from the base, from the start, the weapons and the armor values. So we've got 1.3 million armor. That's 1, 2, 3 blues, 1, 2, 3 reds, a very nice balance. You will not need more than this. You can even have another blue because the damage we have is enough. So make sure you have that many blues. Trust me, it makes sense. And we get a tier 4 shield, which is great. So let's go over the weapon. This is quite important. Now, the G36 is a very underrated weapon. I've been using this for a long time. It's very, very good. I have got a guard roll one. Now you're probably wondering why I've got in sync. This is one of the best damage talents in the game right now, and it's very easy to proc. So I've got the G36 and the Urban MDR. This gun absolutely shreds. You can use whatever weapon you want. It doesn't matter when you're modding it. Very important. Come over here. It's got a long rail. Put the linked laser pointer on. Because we've got spotter on our chest piece, every time we aim at an enemy, we don't even need the pulse. Now, don't use the special mask that gives you 100% skill haste on your pulse. You don't need a pulse. This is what makes it so strong. If you just aim at someone, you get all the buffs from spotter on the chest piece and you pulse them. So it's very nice. I do run it with pulse sometimes to help my teammates, but this is where we're going to be getting a lot of damage. All the other mods, crit chance, make sure you have 60% crit chance. Now, in sync, we're going to be using a shield. I don't know if you guys know this, but every time you use a skill, including a pulse, it procs the skill part of this, okay? So hitting an enemy grants 15% skill damage. That's going to be easy. We need that 15% skill damage because we need to double it. So when you shoot an enemy, you get a buff. You'll see one of them proc. When you use a skill, you can either pull out your shield. When you pull out your shield, it procs in sync every single time you pull your shield out and every time you use the pulse. So you will have this a lot of the time. It'll be up a lot of the time. Using a skill or damaging an enemy with a skill. So like I said, we'll have both of these up as soon as you tap the enemy with your gun, which you're going to be doing, and using your pulse or your shield. Then you will have double increases. So which means that we will have 30% weapon damage from this. It is the best in slot for this build, especially right here. And this is where it gets interesting. Okay, guys, I'm going to explain where the multiplications are on this build. Spotter is one of the only talents in the game that is multiplicative. Okay, so I don't know if you guys know this. It gives us weapon and skill damage by 15%. This multiplies with in sync. So it is ridiculously strong. I've tried so many other combinations. This is by far the best. If you guys did watch my stream last week as well, I was testing this and it worked so well. So make sure you guys use this beautiful talent. If you don't have one that's as great as this, it doesn't really matter. But just try and get damaged targets out of cover. It multiplies with the spotter. So make sure you guys use it as well. So that's where the damage numbers will be coming from. So use whatever other guns you want. It's completely up to you, whatever pistol. Let's go over the build. So the whole idea with this is to proc in sync with the shield and the pulse and utilize the chest piece talent. Now, this is where it gets interesting. You're probably wondering why use Vigilance. You could face tank someone with a tier 4 shield, and if that player shoots your shield, it doesn't count as a shot to you. So Vigilance stays active. That's why Vigilance is such a powerful talent right now in PvP. So let's have a look at each of the pieces. Now, we want to kind of balance out hazard protection. It's quite important with the elephant source guys running around. Now, we can get, how's this, guys? 90% hazard protection from this build. You'll be immune if you use the booster hive. So it's up to you what skills you use, but let's go over the pieces. Hazard protection from the Yell gear. We want crit chance, crit damage, or hazard protection on everything. That's what we want, because you guys know how players are like. All the adrenaline, intimidate newbies are running around with the chem launcher. It's very annoying, but this is going to be the perfect counter to it. So this is what I was talking about earlier. Don't use the Night Watcher. You don't need to use the Pulse. If you want to help your teammates in the DZ, it's good. But like in Conflict, I don't recommend using it. So let's go over this quickly. So I've put a crit chance mod on. Whatever mods you can to get your crit chance to 60%. Don't overdo it. So the one piece is very good because of the Hasbro. Then we're going to go over the chest. We're going to be getting 2-piece Providence defense because a lot of players use shields. So you want to try hit their head. That is ideal. That's what you got to practice on. It's not too bad because they're not moving very fast. But just keep that in mind. This will give us more damage as well. Crit chance is nice for the 2-piece as well. And then we've got a core attribute of armor, maxed out. Crit damage, Hasbro, very nice chest. I actually crafted this, guys. You can go and craft stuff. Crafting, what happens is if you craft 2 or 3 items, the 4th one for some reason just is quite good. So I was lucky. Now Spotter is amazing. The linked laser pointer on our long underbarrel on our weapon will proc this. So if you aim at somebody, guys, if you aim at someone, you'll be getting 15% weapon damage and skill damage. And it multiplies over in sync and damage to targets out of cover. So this is how we're getting so much damage. I tried this with Unbreakable yesterday and it was trash because Unbreakable is nerfed. You only get like 45% or something like that, 50% out of it. It's not worth it. Spotter is really, really good. And also, if you want to use the normal pulse, it does give you a bit of an insight of where the players are. It does help a lot. So the holster, we've gone for Cheska. We've got the 1-piece. Now we could have used the 2-piece for extra Hasbro, but it's not really necessary. I used it because I wanted to get my crit chance up. It's nice to have that crit chance up. Now, I could have used a Cheska glove for more Hasbro. Just keep that in mind. You can mix this build up if you want. I would recommend doing that if you guys are suffering with the hazard protection because I have got it rolled in a lot of my pieces. The backpack, Providence Defense, crit chance, crit damage, roll crit damage mods on it, put crit damage mods on it. Remember what I said, guys, Vigilance is just too good to pass up because if the player shoots your shield, it still counts. It doesn't count as you getting shot, so you keep that 25% weapon damage. And that stacks upon the spotter. So, Group Osama gloves, reason being more crit damage, more damage. I want to be able to burst people down because of my high armor. You don't want to sacrifice damage, but let me tell you something now, guys. Those Lady Death players, they go running. They try and push you. You pull out your shield, and when in sync procs, it's actually ridiculous how much damage you do to them. it's very satisfying. So we've got crit damage and Hasbro again. Now, Overlord, this is the best in slot for damage. There's nothing better than this. Even Fenris, it won't make sense. I've tested it. Damage to targets out of cover, which multiplies on top of the chest piece talent. Don't ask me how these mechanics work. It's just from testing. It's weird. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's quite confusing. But roll crit damage. These were in the vendor the other day, so hopefully you guys picked some up. So now that we've got the base of the build gone, let's have a look at the stats, because this is where the build kind of shines. Normally in stats it can be deceiving, but this build actually showcases the stats really well. Crit chance 60%, 124% critical hit damage. Very nice amount of headshot damage as well. Health damage is great. Also, let's go over everything else. I will just scroll down. All weapon 5130. Then we've got over here, which gets quite interesting. We have got 57% hazard protection. Remember, you can get some more if you want to make it up to 67%, but the reason why is I'm going to show you now. So 57, 67, 77, 87, so you'll be just under 90% Hasbro if you use the booster hive, which I will explain to you guys right now. So now that I've gone through all of this, let's go over the skills. So the reason why I'm using this is, there's actually no reason. I just wanted to disrupt players' shields, because then it makes it absolutely easy to kill them. What I would recommend as well is guys can use the booster hive. Now, the buff amount stim efficiency is 33%, so you get about 30% Hasbro with the one. Okay, so it's supposed to increment in a certain way, but for some reason it doesn't. It is, I think it might be slightly bugged, but just give it a try, see how much Hasbro you need. I personally don't like to spec all into hazard protection for simple reasons, because I don't want to sacrifice damage. But you guys can, if you are having trouble, Cheska gloves and then put this on, you will actually be immune. I think if you run Cheska gloves, you'll be completely immune. This is why this build is so easy to adapt to your own playstyle and to suit you guys, because you can just change it up and work towards it. As long as you keep the main elements that I've discussed here, you will absolutely wreck players in the dark zone and in conflict or whatever. This is insane. This is my new best PvP build. It could even potentially become the meta, so make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments of this build. Yeah, and I'll be seeing everybody in the next video. Peace out, agents.